Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to SJJMAS number 13 tonight with The King's Fool. Now remember, accept no cheap imitations. This is the real deal. This is not the cheap Chinese knockoff. You've made it to the right place. So pat yourself on the back. And King's Fool, welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Just enjoying the festivities, watching the snow fall, and living in the cold.
Oh, do you actually have snow where you're living?
Oh yeah, tons of it. It's
Okay.
glorious.
Do you want to dox whereabouts in the roughly you live or not?
I've mentioned it before. It's public knowledge. Minnesota.
Oh my God! So I saw that the lakes have like been hit with loads of snow, haven't they?
I guess maybe. I don't know.
Or I saw a lake. Okay, I saw on YouTube. There's people driving around in the snow, and it's a Great Lake effect storm. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, it means there's just a lot of
A
moisture
lot
in,
of.
in the clouds.
Yeah, and is that unusual for this time of year, or is it normal?
Now it's pretty normal. Hopefully
We
we'll
don't
get
really.
more.
You want more? Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
It's hard to realize. You don't really realize, but the UK is like on the same latitude as North America, I think. But because of the Gulf Stream, we are much milder in winter than you guys. We don't really get a winter anymore.
You guys are just much softer, more welly treated by Mother Nature.
Yeah,
This is
you
where
could
the
say that.
real men live, I guess.
And look, it is harsher on in all aspects in the United States. You get the heat, you get the storms, and when you get it cold, you get like 4 foot of snow. And I've never seen more than a foot of snow in my lifetime here in the UK.
Well,
And
it's
I live
cool.
north of UK.
Yeah. I mean, you can't experience everything. I still haven't seen the ocean, so.
Oh my God, dude, get a life, basically.
Nah,
All right.
oceans are stinky and gross. Salt water. Why do I need salt water in my life?
Yeah. Anyway, before the viewers trickle in, you want to do your entertainment part of the show first up, don't you? So,
Yeah,
are
it's
you
better to
ready?
start with a song. I'm
He's
gonna
going to grab the
mute
bull
this.
by the horns, ladies and gentlemen, and do your your Christmas caroling right now. So,
So
let me
I'm
know.
gonna mute the tab, and we can play. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little
Christmas now. There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
And here
This
we
is
are,
what-
folks. The beginning of this stream. Just the prep, the warm-up, a nice little Christmas miracle.
This is what
Let
you
me
came
unmute
for.
my tab. I can't hear you, obviously.
This is what you all came for. This is what we came for. Like, Christ is king, says John. I mean, Richard Oz says, fucking hell, Jesus wept. So...
Hopefully
No
it was
offense.
tears of joy. Hopefully. You guys are the ones who
Absolutely.
could hear it.
Absolutely. I thought that was amazing. So we're going to give you a round of applause. Thanks very much, dude. This is what you've got to do. You've got to grab the bull by the horns and just do it. People will throw tomatoes at you anyway. So
Yeah.
with that done and dusted now, what are you enjoying? I hear there's another festival going on.
Another festival?
Yeah, I heard there's another Christmas festival going on.
Some sort of
Somewhere.
weird gathering of degenerates
Of-
and
well,
godless scum?
I was gonna say dissident thought.
Oh. Of
Yeah.
dissident thought.
Yeah, a decade of dissidence. I've heard it described as. You've caught
Must
up
be
with
a-
any?
Let me just mute that. Okay. This year's Decadence. I got something. 'Tis the seasons, folks. That time of the year to celebrate diversity and all of the profits it gives our capitalistic overlords. We've got Xmas, Hanukkah, and everyone's favorite, Kwanzaa. But there's only one festivity that we give a shit about here today. And it's one of the most ancient and holy holidays known to man. This sacred celebration is known as Millennial. It's a terminally online internet gathering of some of the most boring and dull entertainers out there. One of these niche internet stars is a Millennial Woes poster known as Millennial Woes. And this large living bisexual man is the architect of these millennial festivities. And if you don't know who Woes is, SJJ has the perfect video to introduce you to him.
Do I?
Yeah, play the video, bro.
Which one?
What do you mean? What are you talking? We prepped for this stream 30 minutes ahead, and you're not
we
even
did, but
prepared
which-
to do the beginning?
Which is the Millennial
Dude, I
Woes
sent
video?
the video to you in your DMs on Twitter. What do you mean?
Oh
Gosh,
my god!
Oh, dude. I'm
Wait,
sorry,
fucking
folks.
hell.
I'm sorry. Everything was fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, SJJ fans. It's all his fault. I sent him the video.
Oh.
We prepped it all up. See, you can play it through your DMs if you want. They can see all the evidence that we prepped for the show, and you weren't even ready for it. Just ignore the timestamp.
Oh, I can't play that because it's only in a DM, so it doesn't play.
Oh, can you download it?
No.
Okay.
Oh well. That's
No,
fine.
no.
I know.
Let's play that. Do you know that?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Oh, come on. There's only one video to really introduce Woes.
If you want to play it, yeah, okay. But let me find it.
I'm making a tweet about it. And I linked you to it, so you should come in there.
Hold on.
Unless you have it.
Boom, boom, boom. bear with me, everybody.
Because there's probably people who've never seen that video before. I didn't see it until this year, and I'm like, holy shit, this is great.
Oh, really? That is like Yonk's Hole, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, he's... Where is it? Oh my god. You've tweeted me? You've tweeted me?
Yeah, I tweeted you, and it's the video. So
I've got no tag. Right,
what? Did it not send?
Yeah. Hold on.
It maybe just uploaded, I guess. Oh, it sounds like you found it.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. I think I can play it in my DMs.
All this effort, all this prep work.
Oh my god. Yeah, everybody knows what it is. Anyway, it's the Godwinson video from your...
If you take on the alt-right, you will lose.
Hold up.
Dark
Pause.
in my bedroom,
you should
drawn really nice day outside. I went to art school, but it was degeneracy. London, it scared me. So then I went back to Scotland. I smoked more, I drank more Coca-Cola. Bad dreams of Christ Ball. They told me I was going to lose the fight. Godwin says, "Jeff fighting, Jeff fighting, Jeff fighting." Alt-right, it's me, I'm Scottish, I've come home. I'm Millennial, let me smash your back doors open. You'll see this for free if you donate to my PayPal account. I'm Millennial. Ooh, let me have it. Let me grab your balls. Oh, you know I have Grindr. Alt-right, it's me, I'm Scottish, I've come home, I'm Millennial Woes, let me smash your back doors open, alt-right.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god.
It's glorious.
I'm in so much trouble.
Why?
Oh fuck. Because I'm doing this alternative millennial, and there's half of the dissident right are not happy, bro. Half of them are like so upset. You know, the people who are aware of it, they like hate my guts for daring to piss all over Millennial Woes' bonfire. And then there's everybody else who realizes that it's okay. It's still okay in the age of the internet, believe it or not, to like make fun of each other. It's okay. I mean, come on, get a grip.
And they're so butthurt about it because they don't want to be mean. They don't want to have fun. When it's like, well, you guys don't want to argue your opinions. You just want to say you're right and be like, we're right because we're right, and everyone should just listen to us. But that's not going to change the hearts and minds of people out there. And you do that by arguing and mocking each other. So
yeah, well, it used to be the English way. This is the parliamentary spirit, by the way. I mean, this is where it comes from. The great debate, the great English parliamentary spirit. To dare to challenge the other that he's wrong about his opinions and stand there and defend himself. This is what it is. But Millennial Woes and his factions will say, you know, but, oh no, you just all... These people just want to tear it all down. What good have you produced for the movement? I don't know why he became Liverpudlian then, but you know, this is what it is.
And that's just it. It's not even a movement. Like, if it was a movement, then why aren't you all getting along? They don't even get along with each other. They just don't want to talk to each other. I mean, Woes has it out for Coletti, and Coletti has it out for Woes. at this point because he backstabbed him. So it's like you disagree. You can't even talk smack.
Yeah, I don't know the state of that argument at the moment. I mean, Millennial Woes was accused of things by women that even I don't want to get into. Then Mark Collett...
He's accused of rape.
Potentially. It wasn't even that. I don't know what he was accused. I've never been interested. But what happened was Mark Collett kicked him out of his movement, of his self-appointed leader movement, and officially kicked him out. But then, a year later, he had to bring him back in and say, "I'm sorry, Woes. It turns out it was all a big mistake."
It turns out it was all a bunch of kiwi farmers harassing him. The exact same thing Mark says, I don't want to get involved in. He got involved in. And he didn't realize it because he's not involved in it. He was dragged into it.
That is such an interesting point. That these people who sit above and say, I will not be involved in the drama. What ends up is you end up getting trolled because you're not aware of things. You're not in the picture.
Yep. You live in your little echo chamber, your little collective, your little core audience and core people that are always on your streams for the last decade at this point. And then you just sit there and you don't grow and nothing happens. And that's what happened to PA. It had its start and then it came crashing down and they never bounced back.
Yeah, I mean, the thing... it comes to you when you start taking yourself too seriously. We were talking about this in the pre-show, weren't we, where we were testing the mic. That when you start taking yourself too seriously, you lose so much. And this is just a joke. This SJJMAS is literally a joke. Where it's a joke. I mean, I just made it up on the spot because David Yorkshire messaged me and said, "Look, do you want to do it? I want her. Rebut Brutus." And I thought, oh, we're in December. Millennial's starting. I'll just make a copy of Millennial. So it's a joke, and it's hopefully
make a copy of it,
joke.
And you won't collect money off of it, and it'll still just be more entertaining and more unique than Millennial is. Because Millennial, if you've heard any interviews from any of those people once before, you've heard them before. There's no reason to watch an interview over.
Speaking of which, no, we are collecting money. You can send your money. We are a monetized channel, so you can send your money. Keep, let the money flow, and I will self-awaredly accept your donations. How about that?
Give SJJ your fucking money, you bums.
In fact, I have a plan to save the white race, okay, myself, and it requires your money, okay? What you need to do is fund me, okay? You go to my Twitter page, there is a little envelope on it. There you can send me all your crypto and fund me, and when I get a whale to fund me, I'm going to start breeding the white race myself, okay? That's how we're going to save it. You're going to pay for my 10 children, and then I'm going to instill in them that they each must go forth and multiply and have 5 each of their own. And then, what's that in one generation then? Is that 250? Wait, that's 50. If I have 10 and they have 5 each, that's 50 children for the white race. And then if they have 5 each, that's... Oh, come on, this is getting hard. What's that? Is that 250? Anyway, we can see within a few generations, we're literally going to repopulate the UK. So that's my plan for saving the white race, and it requires all of your money. What do you think to that?
I think it's beautiful. I think you'll get 260 children perfect that way.
Let's go.
Just have babies, talk to women. Stop being an incel. Stop living online, you dorks.
Hey, it's easier said than done, though, to be fair. I mean,
True.
Phil. I was
Most
talking
women
to
aren't
Phil. Yeah, I was talking to Phil about it in the last stream, and he says just go and talk to women. But I mean, there is a real incel crisis. I mean, aren't you affected by it? Aren't you? I mean, I know to some extent. I'm not an incel, but I've not. You know, I'm getting older, and I'm brutally aware of time passing me by, and that I've not got settled down or anything.
True. I mean, everyone's affected by some regards because you just have to. All women are batshit crazy, and you have to find the right kind of crazy woman for you. So that part's a little bit difficult. So it depends on where you are, I guess. If you live in a major city, it sucks to be you. You have all these women out there, and a large portion of them are just skanks who are out bar hopping and doing all these things, and it's not worth your time. So I don't know. You just have to find a good spot and keep going, keep adamant. And if you get your hair cut, why not have it be cut by women? Why go to a barber? It's kind of gay, you know. Have a woman cut your hair or a man cut your hair?
Well, I mean, I actually have a female hairdresser. The barbers are the cheaper option, though. This is the thing. The barbers are the cheaper option, but over here they're all like, I don't know what they are, Iraqi or something. They're all styling themselves as Turkish barbers, but they're not Turkish. And even if they were, that's not a good thing. But they're just some flavour of brown person who started a hairdresser.
To launder money and other things.
To launder money, sell cheap cigarettes and things like that. Yeah, Turkish barber, very, very cheap, sir. Yeah.
Traffic some knives and some women. Not surprising because from those places.
Hold on, I'm being called out. In the chat. David Yorkshire. What I stated was, fancy doing a podcast about that debacle yesterday. Exact words. SJJ getting as bad as Brutus talking shit. Oh my god. That's basically what I said. Isn't it? Come on.
I'm not sure what part he's referencing.
Give me a break. Come on. I'm a very important e-celebrity. We're doing lots of DMs with so many different people. So give me a break.
He's been planning this for the past year. This is the big event of the year. Yeah. It wasn't just off the cuff.
It's actually really difficult to organize people. I mean, I have discovered this much. It's what do I call it? It's like herding cats. So it's actually, it's
especially
tricky.
If you get the time zones wrong.
Yeah, speaking of which, yeah. So what else have you caught of Millennial? Have you watched any of it this year?
I have watched a bit, not a ton, but one of my favorite things so far is the icon of Millennial this year. The symbol of power to show us all what this year is about. And I have it being shared on my screen.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen my... Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have you seen my analysis of this?
I watched both of them, actually. So I watched the Claire one, and I watched the other one you did of it. So I thought they were both pretty good. And all the things.
Now, do you think I'm reading too much into the analysis?
No, I don't think you're reading too much into it. Because let's be honest here. It is a holy icon for Woes. It is a holy symbol for him to represent him. Oh, praise be to Nietzsche. Praise be to the Arch of the Millennial Covenant. And praise be the golden light of Mickey D's. Because that's what it is. It's just a big McDonald's arch that he's got here. And it's very fitting for Woes because, let's be honest here, he's kind of large these days. Should we,
Oh my god, bro.
Should we play We Love Our Mickey D's?
We love our Mickey D's. Quarter pounders, extra cheese.
How shitty does it sound? A bit bad.
We love our Mickey D's.
It's a bit bad.
Chat, do you love your Mickey D's?
When I'm in a hurry, I grab a McFlurry,
That is about.
Cop some apple
Hold on.
pies, cop some apple pies. Make those fries super size.
Okay, that is about what's his face, isn't it? Baked Alaska.
Yeah, it's by Baked Alaska. There's no reason to give him any honor or respect and put it on screen.
Wait, that was not by Baked Alaska. That was about him. Somebody did that as a troll, right?
I think that was by Baked Alaska.
No. That's a troll against him because the original is "We love our cops, our law enforcement. We love our military. They're important. We love our cops."
You're right.
Yeah, and because Baked Alaska put on a lot of weight, somebody did this troll version. "We love our Mickey D's."
You telling me you don't love Mickey D's? It's
Well,
not the
personally, I
go-to.
don't.
I thought
Personally,
that
I
was
don't.
the meal of the dissident right. Colette's always talking about it
Is he?
all the time. They say the same things over and over again as they've said over these past, I don't know, 10 years or so.
Well, it it is the food of Nick Fuentes. Am I right?
Tis.
Yes. This is something that I never liked about the guy, that he would push fast food and a dog shit diet basically. I know it's a small point, but I it never bothered. It really bothered me.
Fair enough. Now, I did watch one video. Well, what streams are you looking forward this year in Millennial?
To be serious, I mean to be genuine about it. I mean, I will be watching most of Millennial because, like, people ask me to comment on it. People ask me to do these commentary streams. It's something to do. I'm actually looking forward to Mouthy Buddha re-emerging from, he's disappeared. He's been gone for 5 years. Do you know Mouthy Buddha?
I'm not completely familiar. I've clicked on it before, but never watched it.
Yeah. Mouthy Buddha was somebody who, he disappeared in 2018, I think it was, right when what was it? Richard Spencer was doing college tours, and a guy pulled a gun out on somebody outside the event, and that was Mouthy Buddha's best friend. And so Mouthy Buddha vanished the scene, but he does very arty videos, and he started doing arty videos, and then he was doing some stuff about UFOs, which I wasn't into, but it was artily done. So, but yeah, he vanished, and so he's back.
Wasn't he like that alt-light kind of guy? I think I saw him in
Yes.
a Murdoch
Yeah.
video. Oh.
He was
Oh, that-
alt-right adjacent, but he was much more based than what he seemed.
Okay.
He was somebody, right, who was walking the walk. Staying on the fence in a very clever way. Like, he was letting you know how based he was, but also that he was basically, almost like a pro-level amateur, if that makes sense, filmmaker. And so he had real potential. He could have made some amazing content if he hadn't have, panicked and left the scene.
Well, hopefully he had a good job or something set up where he didn't have to worry about it. Maybe so, maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, so you've sent me a couple of clips.
I did. The ones I'm looking the most forward to are obviously Red Ice. I'm not a big fan of Pagantry. I enjoy dabbing on the pagans, and Red Ice is a perfect group to shit on that's been out there for many years and are complete hypocrites for everything they stand for with the way they actually live their life. I mean, they both fled their home country and home state to go live in a place where they can't relate to anyone around them. Very nationalistic. Very, very representative of the behavior you want to be as a nationalist. Move countries to somewhere where you're completely a foreign stranger at. So there's them. I'm also looking forward to Harrison Smith because I think he's probably one of the bigger names that's on there. And I know he's not a pagan, so maybe he might push back a little bit, or he might just be a friendly cuck like the rest of them, but who knows? And then, the stream I'm most...
Hold on, Harrison Smith is InfoWars, isn't he?
He is. That's why I was like, oh, that's a pretty big name there.
What do you think of InfoWars and Alex Jones, though? He's a complete joke, isn't he?
He is, but he's really entertaining. So I'll give him that. He is a joke. He's very boomer. He hits all the boomer talking points, and I'm sure he actually believes in most of them that he talks about. But, I think it's a good thing that InfoWars got shut down and that he got shut down a bit, even though he didn't really entirely go away. We'll see.
He's never going to go away. He's just doing the thing where you close a business and reopen it in a different name, isn't he?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's already reopened it as the Alex Jones Show.
I mean, if they send him to prison, then he will.
He's not going to prison. It was a civil case, wasn't it? So I think all they can do is take all your money in a civil case.
Yeah, he might go to prison for something else. Who knows? He's a bit of a fat, short alcoholic, so who knows what he's going to end up doing.
Do you think Alex Jones is just a grifter? Or do you think he is like a bad act, maybe even a deep state bad actor, maybe even like a Zionist puppet or something?
I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's a bit of a clown. And that's about it. Maybe he has bad actors funding him and sponsoring him and making him a bigger hype back in the day, but actually controlled by the state, I don't know. You have something on...
Right, well, here would be the argument from, like, my friend, I think, like, Thomas Barden Rees, he's who's a conspiracy theorist, would say that somebody like Alex Jones is put out there to make conspiracy theorists look retarded. Because he hits every conspiracy theory, every single one. So when they say Alex Jones is right, he's right because he throws so much shit at the wall that he's literally talked about everything. I mean, I remember a show he was doing where he had a guy on the show who was literally saying that there are people are being kidnapped and put into sex cults and trafficked to the planet Mars. And this was serious.
Alex said that?
His guest who he had on.
His guest.
Oh, and yeah.
So he entertained it and talked about all these kooky, clearly nonsensical bullshit.
And he's been saying the US government's going to collapse since, 1999. He's been, he's literally hit everything out of the park, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he kind of wishes for some of those things, but obviously that's not going to happen anytime soon. But I don't know. I can't see him being like a incredibly bad actor. Maybe he's bad for change and development. He served his purpose in the early days to question things like 9/11 and whatnotness, and talk about how they're turning the frogs into frogs or whatever. But nowadays he's kind of a broken record.
Yeah, we have an English Alex Jones who the charge has been leveled against him for doing the same thing, and that is David Icke, who, that would be our guy, who comes onto the scene and just, puts out all the crazy conspiracy theories and makes people who look into genuine conspiracies look completely retarded and stupid. And he goes as far as saying, that the Queen Elizabeth was literally a lizard. So,
Didn't he also call himself Jesus or something? I saw him getting pressed in an interview or something back in the day.
yeah,
He showed up in like
yeah.
his coat and did that.
I think that was actually when he first became a conspiracy theorist on the scene. He was actually like a BBC reporter or something, and he went on famously Terry Wogan, a like our version of maybe your Saturday Night Live or something, an interview chat show, and said, I don't know if he called himself Jesus. I think he was trying to do the thing that people do when they have like a spiritual awakening, and what all these people say, they all come to is that I am God. They have this realization. Alan Watts once talked about this actually. And this is like the Buddhists or the Hindus have these awakenings where they suddenly realize, oh my God, I'm God. And in the West, these people are everybody looks at them and says, okay, dude, you're crazy. But like to Hindus and Buddhists, they like pat them on the back and say, oh, finally you've figured it all out.
Yeah, he kind of came off to me like Jonathan Bowden, paganry and whatnot, and as being the interconnectedness of the one and the will to power and all of that hobbledygook. That's basically late stage Platonism from Plutarch in 200 AD. So I didn't think he actually thought he was Jesus, but I did hear people criticize him like that, and the guy introduced him as, "You think you're Jesus, right?" And then he's just instantly starts backpedaling, trying to control the conversation because the guy's calling him, saying he's claiming to be some sort of messianic figure. But he's like, "No, I'm just
Yeah.
like a part of it, bro." Something like that.
It's this I'm God, you're God, we're God. I mean, I've done this before. Natman Prime's God, Weebaboos God, Affected Area is God, Patrick VDH is God, King's Fool, you're God. This is like this pantheistic view that people, they take too many mushrooms, they smoke too much weed, they have a DMT trip or whatever, and they go, whoa, man, everything is God, and I'm part of it too. And then they try to explain this to other people, and they're like, "Whoa, bro, we're all God. We're all part of God."
Yep.
Do you totally dismiss this as just New Age nonsense, or do you think these people are connecting with something? I know you're a Christian, and so you're going to think that that's like heresy, but what do you think about this? Are they having some real awakening of anything, do you think? Just getting it muddled up.
I'd say they're invoking something rather demonic, evil, and wrong, and they're not really seeing some sort of truth and light, but they're actually being obscured and molded by the shadows on the wall, as Socrates put it. In his concept of the cave walls, how man lives in a cave and there's a fire behind them, and it's producing all these shadows, and we're just seeing the shadows, and you have to escape the cave to see truth and light and goodness and great. So I feel like they're just viewing their own little shadows on the wall that are being projected from themselves and their egos. And one of those people who's much like that and absolutely stands for those things is Greg Johnson.
Speaking of which, so what about Greg Johnson do you want to say?
Well, there's not much to say, obviously, because it's Greg. But he had a few topics that they covered through that you've probably heard a million times before on many different platforms from many different people, and it's always the same thing. And the topics he covered in the first 30 minutes of it that I actually watched, because I'm not going to watch a 2-hour stream of Greg Johnson, I have a life, was they talked about the news, immigration, the great replacement, immigrants doing cheap labor, food, transgenderism. The woke have seen the light. Hallelujah, praise Apollo. Just 2 more weeks and we'll figure it all out. And then obviously legal immigration. That's a big talking point for them these days. But this is the big thing that he did talk about. the real reason we need immigration, the real aspects of it. Greg Johnson has seen the light of Apollo and has been blessed by him, and he knows what's really going on now. And he discussed it in Millennial, his big brain take. So,
Is that this clip that you've sent me? So I'm
The first-
fascinated if so.
the minute and 28 one we'll start with, and that's about everyone's favorite topic, good old food.
The minute, 1 minute 55.
Yeah, 55.
Right. Okay. Look, to be fair to our friend Grinder Greg, okay, you know, he actually was the guy who red pilled me back in the day. I remember listening to one of his videos. I've told this story in the past, so you know, let's listen to our friend Grinder Greg.
People slowly, peacefully, humanely, consistently with their human rights, but get rid of them nonetheless, we're going to see dramatic improvements in life in America. Wages will go up, crime will go down, congestion will go down, crowding will go down, ugliness will go down, and also rents and housing prices will go down. It will be such a huge improvement in our economic life that libtards might even not miss the guacamole anymore, or the burritos, or they might learn to make their own burritos.
This is all. I've got a big thing about this.
I know.
Food, you know.
Oh,
because I realized.
Oh,
at some
I
point
know.
realized,
Go back
but-
a little bit. He said that so homosexually, so unstraight. Just he's talking about the big bean burritos, and he's just like, "Oh, I know you have a lot to say about your
Oh my
big bean
God.
burritos." Play it again. Just...
Well, he has a thing about food in general, to be fair.
This is all. I've got a big thing about this.
I know.
Food.
I know.
You know, because I realized at some point.
And that's
I
the
realized,
funny thing about them. Hold up. That's the funny
Yeah.
thing about them, because you have to realize Millennial Woes way back in the day, like 2015, 2016, he went to California and visited Greg Johnson. So it wouldn't put me past that they did get their big bean burritos stuffed with each other while they were out there. But
Oh my God, bro. You're going to get me
There's
in so
evidence.
much trouble.
they're flirting with each other. They're flirting with each other on stream. They visit each other. I see no reason not to jump to the conclusion that they had a little bit of a playtime with one another.
Whoa. Well, I mean, that would be alleged if that ever happened, of course. I mean, look, what we know, what we can say is that Greg Johnson has always had Millennial Woes' back through thick and thin. So we know that much. He's always stood behind him. Okay.
but we
Did those jokes fall flat? Come on.
could have had
thought I
the
did.
recipes without them ever coming.
I was
here.
just muted.
And
Yeah.
then
Oh,
years later, I
Cool. Yeah.
I should have just... Okay, go ahead.
Let's carry
rewind
on.
it a little bit. So he's going to say something pretty ridiculous here.
we could have had the recipes without them ever coming here. And
Yeah.
then years later, I did some research and I found out that we actually did already have the recipes.
Yeah. Just fax over some recipes and we'll be fine. No, there's this ridiculous.
Just fax them over. Greg Boomer Johnson's showing through, stuck in the 1990s, still using a fax machine.
Yeah.
He doesn't use
idea
PDFs.
that food can only be authentic if it's touched by brown hands. Well,
And not even
And-
the right ones as well.
yeah, well, any brown hands will too. If you go into the back of any American restaurant, it's a Mexican restaurant
Yes.
today, and you know,
same in Britain.
by that criterion, it's all Mexican food.
Yeah, it's the same in Britain. How it's always one ethnic group doing some other ethnic group's food for.
Yeah.
for
But somehow we need them there for authenticity. I'm sorry, that's not true. I remember years ago.
I
Joking
don't.
Johnson. Go ahead.
They're correct. What they're saying is correct. They're right. Okay, they're right about, the food thing. People, wait. Greg Johnson's right that in America, all the food establishments are staffed by Hispanics, but it's not just out the back. It's the people taking your orders as well. I was there in July, and even you go into a McDonald's and it's entirely Hispanic. Is this the case, by the way, on the East Coast as well, or not?
I have no idea. Ideal, to be honest. It's just kind of a bunch of hopalagoo to me at this point. I don't go out to eat at these shitty restaurants. I don't go to Mexican places for many reasons. Greece, too.
No,
I don't
but
want to give them money.
McDonald's or it was actually quite striking that I thought that in a weird way the Mexicans seemed to be gravitated towards particular occupations. They were working food service, they were doing cleaning, they were doing like male Hispanics were doing like maintenance. And then you had black people working in Walmart, and I'm like, this is pretty wild. This is like, why are particular types of people attracted to particular types of job? Have you ever noticed this, or am I just seeing something that's not true about America?
I mean, there's probably true aspects to those parts, but where I grew up and lived, I didn't experience that, and I still don't experience that too heavily. I knew maybe 2 black people in my entire high school, so
Oh my God, you're one
of
the Americans who lives out in the sticks, then, I guess, aren't you? You're not near a big major city.
something like that. I'm in the
Right.
surrounding area. I'm not in like the East Coast where it's just drivel and slop and absolutely horrendous, which is great.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. I used to tell the story that in my hometown, I didn't see a black person until about 10 years ago. And England is a small place, so, I mean, England is, what, I know, probably smaller than, where Michigan, you said you're from. Probably smaller than your entire state. So,
Yeah, your island is definitely smaller than the state, but your population is about, I want to say 6 times more.
oh,
No, not
absolutely.
6 times. 12.
Holy fuck! Wow. Yes, this is another thing that I realized about America. America is, and it's not a. I mean, it's not a big brain take. But, America is vast. It is vast and sparsely populated. In terms of its geography, people are just clustered in areas, aren't they? When you fly over America, it looks as if there's nothing down there for like 99% of the journey.
I mean, yeah, there are parts like that. They refer it to as flyover states or corn country, which is essentially where I'm from. So, yeah, there are those parts, but those are the nice parts. Nice where it's nice and cold, and you have to give the immigrants and refugees lots of money in order to actually want to come here. So, helps out. And if it all went away one day, they'd all leave because of one winter.
Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
Right.
They just up and leave. What one winter comes by, if they're not getting all their free shit, they just be like, I'm out. They have plenty of other places they can go to. Because the thing about the U.S., a lot of our migration issues, I wouldn't say aren't actually refugees or illegal or legal immigration. I think the main issue within the U.S. is internal migration, especially when it comes to crime, because you have all these people, the thugs and these hood rats of some kind, committing crimes in one state and then jumping over to the next state, to the next major city to commit crimes, and then to the next one, and then to the next one. An excellent example of someone who did that was George Floyd. So there's been a huge issue with the Chicagofication of lands out west of there at this point.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Another example, I
Yeah.
mean, like where all the migrants they were shipping from the border and they were just shipping them around the country to different spots. So they have like a whole system set up for this to happen.
Yeah, so I've also told the story that here in the UK, illegal immigration, which everybody tells me is a red herring, it doesn't matter, SJJ, don't ignore illegal immigration. Well, it does matter, right? Here in the UK, because they are busing illegal immigrants to every part of the UK, then parts of the UK that would not have experienced immigration are now experiencing it. There are immigrants in my shitty, working class, old mining town, which, is one of the most deprived regions of the UK. There's no reason for immigrants to be here, but they're here now because basically illegal immigrants are being mutually spread around the country. So everywhere has like a small problem instead of the problems building up in one big area. And the same is happening, if from my understanding, in the United States. Isn't that right?
Yeah, no, definitely the same thing is happening. They're definitely trying to spread it out now. I know Minnesota's obviously known for a number of things in dissident communities and spheres, and one of them is being a large Somalian population. But you also have to realize the second largest Somali population is in Ohio, which is much more east, and then another state that has a huge population is Maine.
And why are Somalis in Ohio and Maine? For fuck's sake.
They're trying to take over more territory in warmer places that give as much free money as ours. So that's pretty much why. It's just a divide and conquer. They're being funded by all these wealthy billionaires and financiers out east so they can do their little scams and projects. I mean, recently we had this feeding your family scandal out here. This company, this quote unquote nonprofit company that was doing this, and they took a ton of COVID relief funds and didn't actually use them what they were for. And the whole thing's being investigated. There's been half a dozen people who are arrested and been charged and convicted of it. And another one of those people's faced another conviction for actually trying to bribe some of the jury members on there. So some of the jury members were being handed random sacks of money of cash by women in hijabs, and one of them reported it.
No way. Wow. Yeah, corruption goes wherever there's immigration, absolutely. I mean, it is right that you import the third world and you become it. Yeah, this is just what it is, isn't it? If you look, the Africanization of the West is one of the worst aspects of it. Absolutely, I mean, here it's the like Pakistaniization of it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's the same tactic. It's the same method. I mean, and the reason why that's done, I've talked about this before, is monkey see, monkey do economics. Like a great example of that is the industrialization. I mean, the UK English people specifically were the top industrialized civilization out there for a while, and then places in northern France and northern Germany started picking it up and replicating these methods and things. And I think the same follows with this immigration tactics, but rather than coming from the UK this time, I think this was just an American tactic from the start that they were using and that other countries have picked up on so they could be more successful, more wealthy, and keep the GDP going up.
Yeah. Wait, how do Somalis today, not Africans, obviously America has had an OG African population from the slave trade, but how do Somalis get into the United States today? Is this all through the southern border? Are they flying to like Mexico and then skipping the fence or something?
A lot of it was done through refugee programs that are still active. In fact, pretty much entirely every single one of them came through refugee asylum programs. So most of the Somalians don't come through the Mexican border, but you definitely get a lot of Haitians and people like that. And we've had some illegal migrants of Somali descent coming from Canada too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they were caught.
And how do they get across the Canadian border then? Because I watched one of these border patrol programs, and this is a Canadian border thing, and people get picked up on that Canadian border just like for the most minor infractions. So, how are they getting?
I mean, it's a really big border, so they just kind of cross it in spots that are less populous, I guess it seems.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
even those guys that were crossing, even though they've done it many times before, got caught, and they got also caught having ties to terrorist organizations in Somalia, of course, like they all do. Yeah, they even had the president of Somalia come here earlier this year, and he announced in his speech in Somalian or whatever the heck they speak, you know, he announced that uh, he announced that Ilhan Omar is doing a great service to the people and nation of Somalia. Just right there, sticking it all plain out for everyone else to see, read, and understand that yeah, she's not here to represent her people, the people here. She's here to represent her people here. So
Yeah, she's there to represent an ethnic enclave of a foreign power. Effectively, this is what it becomes, and we have the same we have the same thing here. Effectively, with like Pakistani politicians in Bradford in the United Kingdom, basically, who the Bradfordization of the country, and they advocate for Bradfordized politics. Let's call it. Yeah, it's a problem.
it is. I don't like hot castizas. No, I don't like Latino women. No, they're short, they're chubby, they're not good
Wait,
because they're
hold on, not the
short.
Castizas though. Isn't the Castizas the white ones?
I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. I don't see them.
I have a
Maybe.
friend of mine. Marco Coletti Spaghetti, tells me that hot Latina women are good. That there are hot Latina women, and that it's a good thing. You're not buying it.
I'm not buying it. I'm a purist at the end of the day.
He's a purist. He's not interested. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. What is this other clip that you sent me of Greg Johnson then? Do we want to look at that, or do we want to do the Knicks? Do we want to look at the Nick video that I've got?
We can wrap up with Greg here. It's only one other clip, and it actually builds onto this a little bit because this is where Greg Johnson has recognized the truth behind it all. He finally understands the last piece of the puzzle of why the system is doing this now and what they're arguing for.
About the future and of the nation and its identity anymore.
Oops.
It would simply be basically okay. The left and their arguments
Okay, I'll
for
pause it.
immigration. Oh, we need more diversity.
Yep.
So if you notice in the beginning there, I had to cut it off a little. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had to cut it off a little bit because Greg Johnson tends to babble. He really likes to hear himself talk because he's such an enlightened individual who's been touched by Apollo, this very not Christmas Eve, this very millennial. He's been a millennial miracle. He's been blessed by Apollo and given the enlightenment of what you're going to hear here, which is basically something we've all known for a long time. And it starts right when he says basically.
Okay. The left and their arguments for immigration. Oh, we need more diversity. It'll make us stronger and richer to flood our countries with beggars. And if you don't like it, you deserve it for your sins anyway. Those arguments are dying. Those are idiotic arguments, and those are dying. The strongest argument that people are now hearing is it's good for the economy. And if we can basically say, well,
Okay.
Is he
In that-
making? He's not making that argument though, is he?
No, he's talking about other people making that argument, but
Right.
he literally contradicted himself in the span of less than 30 seconds. Okay, he started out saying about how those arguments are dead, and he labels off how they'll make us stronger and richer. And then he's like, but the new arguments now that they're using is that it's good for the economy. It's almost like Greg Johnson has been babbling around so much that he doesn't even realize what he's actually saying and is more focused on how to say it. So,
Wait a second here. If we're just talking about what's good for the economy, that doesn't necessarily give you an argument for immigration per se, merely for guest workers on a temporary visa with no possibility of a road to citizenship. If they marry, the family reunification takes place in their home country. They can't have anchor
the classic
babies.
siren.
They can't marry their way.
Yeah, they're coming for Greg, unfortunately.
Pick him up.
Nothing. None of that. If we start having that debate, I think that would be a valuable shift, because
Debate?
it is very
Debate?
very harmful.
Oh, if you want to debate this, Johnson, I'll gladly debate you in your shitty arguments. You're sitting here saying that it's not actually economic productive because we'll just give people visas and they can work here but not live here. That's how we'll solve immigration and we'll improve the economy. So you lose, leftists. But that's the problem here. It's more profitable to have these people shipped in here because at the end of the day, these different banking institutions make a huge amount of unlimited wealth off of paying for Section 8 housing, paying for food stamps of these nature, paying for cars for these illegals and these immigrants and refugees of some kind. So it's not about having people just come here and work. It's about having people come here and provide an inflated amount of what is it called? Demand. They provide an increased inflated amount of demand for the economy because the U.S. economy is based on demand these days. It's not based on production. It's based on eating and consuming things.
So, I mean, your criticism of Greg, isn't that... I mean, you're not criticizing him from the left. What you're saying, he doesn't understand the economics of migration, and so he just isn't getting it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's essentially it. He had this big brain idea. He came in here and doesn't even understand it.
He doesn't understand the incentives. That's what you mean, right?
Yep.
He thinks that we can just turn the spigot off, and but it's not that simple. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
To have the immigration advocates immediately pivot to we want good qualified immigrants. Why not just say we want good qualified workers for temporary work visas, and that's that? That takes their argument away. It's no longer an argument for immigration at that point. It's simply an argument for making it possible for people to come and work in America.
Yeah, it would be a pragmatic thing rather than a great big moral cultural
So here,
crusade.
You get it? You get it? Trevor Dick Lynch isn't really against migration. He's just like, well, hold up. We'll just change the migration aspect. We'll just have them working for us. Because in the reality here, Greg, what his name is, Trevor Dick Lynch, full name of Greg Johnson, word for word. He really just wants his own little Indian Brahmin boy toy slave to unjam his fax machine whenever it gets stuck in his little pod that he lives in California.
To be fair to Greg here, I don't know if I mean, Greg is an old school white nationalist, allegedly. He's even like a Third Reich enthusiast, if you want to know the truth of it. So I think what he's saying is he's not advocating for... I mean, I've advocated for this, actually. You could level the criticism at me. I've said that what we need is a generational change where, before, whilst we need to wean ourselves off the teat of cheap labour, and whilst we're doing that, we need to switch to a Qatar-based system where we just hand out temporary work visas, towards a long-term plan of removing ourselves off of, the immigration teat altogether. But I think Greg here is trying to say we can make the argument to these people, about that this way. Let's reframe the argument. What would you say to that?
Well, the thing is, like you said, Greg also better known as Trevor Dick Lynch, is from 1971. The man is over 50 years old. He's 52, 53 at this point, depending on when his birthday is. So the thing is, though, sure, he's saying these things. Maybe he's not actually advocating for it, but he does actually have this leftist perspective, and he is actually making a leftist argument. And you'll actually hear him say that.
Country.
Yeah, and we have a moral cultural crusade to wreck our countries that the left is championing. And the right goes along with it because most of them are bought and paid for shills, but they make it plausible to their constituency by talking about immigration for economic needs. High quality people.
Hold up.
Don't you deserve the best after all?
well-
America.
That part right there. Just scroll back a little bit. Economic space. Just brain fart needs.
Plausible to their constituency by talking about immigration for economic needs. High quality.
It's just a complete lamboost by his part at this point, because it's not just economic needs, it's an economic boost. It's inflating the economy, but he doesn't seem to understand how these things work.
Let's
finish it off.
Don't you
Yeah.
deserve the best after all? America deserves the best. So why don't we take the best people from Pakistan and Cameroon? Right? Surely there's some best people in Pakistan and Cameroon. Of course, that raises the question, why should we be strip mining poor countries of their best people? If you want to make a moral crusade against that, you could gin up a very quick, good argument against that. That would actually be very left-coded, interestingly enough.
Ah.
Yeah, indeed.
Just play it out. Just play it out. Just you'll hear him.
Yeah.
Millennial just does his millennial
I've
stumble.
made that point. In
Oh, to be fair, to be devil's advocate, to be fair, I do enough of that too. I mean, I'm not the professional here, but I'm as bad as that at looking for my words. I mean, I'm doing it right now.
Well, it's not as bad as Woes just making sounds. At least Greg didn't make a sound. Woes is always just like. It's pretty funny. So Greg admits right there at the end, yeah, I am making a leftist argument. Yeah, I am a leftist. Yes, I am a homosexual from California. What'd you expect from me? To be traditional? To be God-fearing? No, Greg is just a materialist that thinks he's a little piece of God himself.
Do you think Greg thinks like that? Do you think he? Is your critique of Greg that he is just a racist liberal?
I mean, yeah, he is. He's absolutely 100% a liberal, and I guess he is bigoted in that kind of way. I don't have an issue with him being bigoted in that way, but the liberalism part's like, yeah, bro, those values, those beliefs that you hold that are ingrained within your own little society that you grew up in, yeah, I can't stand for that. Because like you said before, the U.S. is a really big place. It's different all over the place. And all these creepy, little disgusting pagan collectives are trying to teach some sort of new enlightenment, new way of thought and thinking, when in reality, all they're doing is representing what they came from and who they were.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate again, my understanding is that Greg has a plan, and Greg is focused entirely. I think he's just really obsessed with immigration. That's what he cares about. It's the browning of America. He cares about he's an explicit white nationalist, and he cares about the great replacement of white people. And I don't think he's very interested in these other topics because, well, like you say, he's not a Christian. I don't know if he's a pagan. I think he's a nothing, right? Yeah, Weebabu says he's not a pagan. He's just a nothing, probably like me, basically. You could probably level these arguments at me, to be fair. So,
I mean, Greg is most certainly, without a doubt, some sort of Apollonian He subscribes to a lot of what Mark Brahman talks about and those things, which is why he's so butthurt and booty blasted at Richard Spencer, because him and Mark, I guess, are good friends still. So I don't know. It's just ridiculous. A lot of these things that he's saying, like he cares about these things and the civilization that made the West great, but at the same time, completely reject it.
Yeah. Well, in the interest of time, we're going to switch topics swiftly to the Nick Fuentes topic. Okay, let's move on to that then. I've got a video on this topic to show you this time. Are you ready for this? We'll just watch the start of it. So here it is. It was by this guy XLP, and it's called Nick Fuentes is a federal informant. All of the evidence. Okay.
Can we just establish that anybody who screamed, "Let's storm the Capitol," I can think of two people who did, who was not arrested, didn't spend time in jail,
was defended by Democrats in the Congress.
Yes, but he wasn't alone. There's another prominent person who did that as well, as I know you know. Didn't get arrested, didn't go to jail. I mean, what can we conclude from that?
Keep moving towards the Capitol. It appears we are taking the Capitol back. Keep marching and don't relent, never relent. Yeah! Break down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us.
This is Nick Fuentes on January 6th, 1 month after receiving a $250,000 donation from a foreign source that would take his own life that very same day. If you're unfamiliar, Nick is a political streamer that could be best understood as the right-wing version of Hassan Piker. While hundreds of regular people, and several far less notable influencers, including those who never even stepped foot in the Capitol, have all been punished for their involvement on January 6th, somehow Fuentes has been able to evade any and all charges. Multiple of Nick's followers, the latest being Tristan Sarter, have been imprisoned after following Nick's instructions to invade the Capitol. Brandon Straka, who never even stepped foot in the Capitol building, had his home raided by the FBI for just filming a video from the Capitol steps where somebody could be heard shouting "Go, go, go," despite the fact that the speaker was off camera, and both Straka and his family deny that the voice was his. He was still forced to plead guilty to 3 years of probation. Owen Schroyer of InfoWars didn't even say anything to the crowd or approach the entrance to the building, but still served 2 months in prison for simply standing outside the Capitol. If you don't believe me, you can read through his entire case yourself here. It's only a couple of pages. Yet somehow, the self-proclaimed single largest political dissident in the entire country, who the government has every incentive to throw the book at, hasn't had even a single charge brought against him. The DOJ was actually working on a conspiracy indictment against Fuentes, but for some mysterious reason, it was never filed. A month after January 6th, Nick would hold his annual political conference while failing to inform his audience that he was currently under FBI investigation, putting his followers in extreme danger of being targeted as an
So, look, I'm not going to play the whole video in the interest of time and that, and, you know, I'd rather just, like, talk to you about it, or you've got, like, your own takes on it, but I'm pasting, people asked, what is this video? It is by this channel, XLP. Nick Fuentes is a federal informant. All of the evidence. So, with that in mind, King's Fool, what do you think about that?
Well, he's got all the facts correct, and there's obviously aspects of the story that he had to leave out. I mean, for a good example is TR Sarter, that guy that's recently getting in trouble and probably going to prison for January 6th, was Nick actually basically said, "Screw you. We're going to dump you on the side of the road. I don't care. We're voting for Kamala. We got to defend Kamala. I'm not voting for Trump, even if it's going to help you." And doesn't offer him any kind of assistance after that. He's just like, I'm praying for you, bro, but I'm not going to do anything to help you. So he's just a complete backstabbing traitor, and he's not doing it out of seriousness to make things better, and it's just doing it to make things better for himself.
If I'm to play the devil's advocate for Nick, because people, when we talk about this issue, there's a couple of people in the chat at least who like go, Nick is like, the only person say out there pushing for like explicitly for white people in America or whatever. So what would you expect him to do for Nick? What could he have done for Nick Sartor? Could he have helped him?
A fundraising campaign. He could have given him thousands of dollars even. He could have done a ton of things for Sartor. So it's just kind of like he just leaves him out to dry. Doesn't care. Doesn't take his time or money to show any affection for people. It's just all about himself and where he's going, what he's doing. And you see that a lot with all the people that he collects around himself on different spheres. He uses them, he talks to their audience for some sort of clout reasons or whatever, and then disposes of them. A good example, I guess, is Sneeko that happened recently. And then there's that former prostitute or whatever, Morgan Ariel is another. So...
Yeah, so what is your opinion as to why Nick Fuentes has not been charged? Well, I mean, straight up, is it because he's a Fed? Is that your take?
I think he has connections.
You believe he's a Fed?
I think it's kind of a downward stream of connections. I think he has connections with people who are known Feds. So it's not necessarily he is the federal informant, but he's working and assisting federal informants at the very least. And I think there's plenty enough evidence for that came out this past year with his association and relationship with Charles Carlisle Johnson, who is another old name on the right that was best butt buddies with Greg Johnson back in the 2014 era.
Yes, Chuck Johnson. Oh my God. So
if they don't know, I have a video of him, a recent one. I downloaded it because it was so funny.
Oh yeah, let's go.
He looked extra sore.
I was just going to pull up a quick picture, but if you've got a video, I mean, Chuck Johnson is such a weird character to have on the right wing. I mean, I don't even know what this guy believes apart from that there is... Basically, if I was to summarize Chuck Johnson's contribution to politics, it would be that there is a nefarious Israeli Mossad plot that is literally behind every single thing that ever happens anywhere at all times, ever present in everything. And somehow he has like deep connections to the federal government and it knows about it. So it's very hard to explain. I just find him a complete liar and self-aggrandizer.
I mean, it's hard to tell. Oh yeah, go ahead and play that. It's a pretty funny video. I mean, the thing about Johnson is... Oh, yeah, go ahead and play it. Yeah, it's so good.
Everyone, let's wave those flags.
Wow.
New soy jack dropped.
Wow, the photos certainly make him look a lot better than in real life. Oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, that's probably
Okay.
an old photo too. I sent a new photo. This is him in his Christmas sweater. Look at that. Living the high life.
Okay. Fair enough. There he is. I mean, if people don't remember him, he's the guy who used to wear a famous picture of him in the MAGA hat, right?
Maybe. I know he was associated in that sphere also. And I also know he was good buddies with, what was his name? Andrew Anglin. The pedophile.
Was he? Oh my God.
Yeah. He gave money to Andrew Anglin to fight his legal cases.
I did not know that. I did not know that. I'm basically only aware of Charles Johnson from being on Twitter. And on Twitter, he contributes to Twitter Spaces, and he's just a liar. He's just a liar. He's a self-aggrandizer. He's a liar. He inserts himself into every story. Oh, here we go. This photo. Let me show this one. There we go.
Holy
There
fuck,
he
is
is.
he short?
Yeah. Oh my god.
He looks just like peak Reddit right there. It's pretty great. He did use Reddit back in the day, I will say.
So, in the interest of time, what is the lowdown then, from your opinion, on Chuck Johnson? He's a known federal informant, right?
Yeah, he's a known federal informant. I covered a thread on that on the top of my Twitter page or whatever, X page. If people want to read it a little bit, you can. But it's known federal informant, came out in his legal documents when he was suing some sort of AI company that he worked with. You can click on the second screenshot there that's
This one.
highlighted. Oh, no, the one below that. Just one more over, I guess. Yeah. Ooh. In a statement prepared for the Senate Judiciary Committee, Booma, who was Chuck Johnson's federal asset, his federal handler, said that the FBI headquarters had closed his most valuable human sources, including one named Genius, who had reported on far-right figures involved with planning the attack on the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Johnson told Insider that Genius was his CHS codename, and Insider was able to confirm Johnson's identity as Genius with 2 additional sources. So, and he's been doing this for many years. He recruited Peter Thiel to be a federal informant. He worked with all these different far-right extremist clubs in the early 2014 days with Richard Spencer, Greg Johnson, all these other characters. Andrew Anglin, obviously, is another. So he got his little fingers and tentacles wrapped around in different little sectors. And it seems like his opinion is constantly changing. Like you said, he's not very honest and lying. And he comes off these days more like a Q boomer, if anything, because all of his aspects are basically viewing himself as a white hat. He's the white hat. He is the good guy within the government. And he's like the foreign interventionists from Cuba, Russia, and Israel are all working against us, and we're the real Americans trying to save the country, which is why you need to vote for Kamala Harris.
Yes, that's it. And he inserts himself into every conspiracy as if he is like a James Bond character. I think he has James Bond fantasies. Would you agree with that? That's like a good explanation of it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a Machiavellian and egotistic and self-grandizing, along with self-bloating, if you haven't seen his, since we've compared his pictures.
And so, okay, so that is Chuck Johnson. He's his character. He's an untrustworthy source. He's an admitted federal informant. And I guess the reason we're talking about him is because of this, right?
Yep.
So what is going on here?
That's him and Nicholas J. Fuentes having a little breakfast and lunch or whatever at an Italian joint of some kind, buddying up and collecting around. Nick actually came out talking about how Johnson's a great guy. He's super intelligent. I get all of my best ideas from him. He's basically replaced Milo. He's Nick's new federal handler, from Milo to Johnson. And
oh my God, from Milo to Chuck Johnson, you're right. Oh, the chain of custody of Nick Fuentes, as if he was like a document being passed around, is so fucking grubby, really, isn't it? And I'm wanting to try and play devil's advocate for this. What is then the innocent explanation for this? Aren't they just like meeting up for publicity's sake or something? What's going on?
I mean, there's definitely some publicity purpose for it, to Nick to get his little friends and followers and fans to go and follow Chuck Johnson and like his tweets and get his message out there so he can corrupt more people to his ill-thought ways. But the key thing about Chuck Johnson and Nick Fuentes is Ali Akbar. Ollie Alexander.
Ugh.
They're both
Right,
good
go
friends
on.
with each other on there. If you go to the Twitter thread, we can click on the screenshot where Ollie admits he's talking to Chuck Johnson, asking for advice. Just click on the thread itself.
On
Just the top one.
in here.
Oh, you're in there? Oh, yeah. Scroll down.
Yeah.
Scroll down a little bit more.
Is it
One
this
more
one?
slide. Oh, we'll get into that next. Two more. Oh, the one with the text message. Click on that picture.
Is it this one?
Yeah, and you can scroll over to the next part. That's him admitting it's there. I can't read it from here, but if you want to read it.
It says you advised me to go to the FBI. This is Ali Alexander, I guess, saying this, right?
Yep.
Ali Akbar. Obviously, I'm not an informant. Aren't your tweet, as they've been opposed to me and while working with you, or you being an advocate for the agency, you advised me to go to them. Maybe I should have. Following this extortion attempt, which they've entrapped themselves in, I will be completing reports with law enforcement and suing for obviously provably false accusations. Wonder who is paying Milo, and he knows his lies will be exposed, so what a stupid move, provably easily false. So is that Chuck writing that, or is that Ali Alexander writing that?
That's Ollie messaging Chuck Johnson about how to go about dealing with Milo, accusing him of being a pedophile.
So Ali Alexander is saying go straight to the FBI.
No, Chuck is saying that.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
Ollie's saying those stuff, but Chuck told him he should go talk to the FBI.
Right.
So,
and
they're
in
good
case
friends.
anybody's wondering who we're talking about, this is Ali Alexander.
You can see the jaw poking in front of it, the top of his lip already. Just look at that. Grouch status, got the gross mustache, the disheveled smile. It's clearly just not straight on his face. Like the skin is just like warped around his jawline poking out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those piranha lips right there. Gonna tell you the truth about all the things that you needed to do to help him out with January 6th.
So, the devil's advocate case here then would be there was something very important to do in 2020. It was to stop the steal. It involved getting a big tent of characters involved. Nick Fuentes ended up having to join forces with people who he would otherwise wouldn't have done for the greater good. So he went and he basically held his nose and went out there to try and save America as a brave patriot by joining forces with Ali Alexander, Alex Jones. It sounds absurd now that I'm trying to do it. He tried to save America by joining forces with Ali Alexander, Alex Jones, and all the other people. Go on. What about that? That's the truth, isn't it?
No. The truth is, and Chuck Johnson laid it out perfectly for us, was to actually entrap people and get them arrested for working with foreign interest groups and foreign powers that are trying to destabilize the U.S. And he said that in his tweets that I screenshotted below those two videos of Ali. I can read them off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just scroll up one, I think. Scroll up, not down.
Oh, sorry. This one?
Yeah, that one. Just click on one of the images. Because this is where all the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys who all got arrested and charged for insurrection are facing 10, 15, 20 years in prison for their actions. And Charles Johnson goes on there, now that the Likud agents within the FBI are being wrapped up, I want to thank President Joe Biden and the hardworking people with federal law enforcement and ACUS who protected me during that was a very trying time. Much love and respect. And then it goes over to the next one. Ask yourself why a lot of January 6 grifters call for violence. Ask why they are never on the front lines. It's because they get paid to rile you up. Ask yourself why a lot of the January 6 grifters call for violence. I seem to remember Bernie Kurick in the group chat we set up as a trap for all of the foreign intel assets who organized January 6 protests. So it was an entrapment from the start to get the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys in jail and prison for working with foreign assets. And he goes on, praise the January 6 committee all you want, but you need to understand that Liz Cheney family wealthy comes from no bid constructs and the Chinese buying Halliburton to exploit Xinjiang. And then the last one, he talks about how the Proud Boys were also federal informants. And he says, Enrique Terrier, a former federal informant, was Petzia's concerns January 6. Basically claiming him as a Cuban intelligence in that bottom tweet.
So I must admit, I'm really confused now. This is the problem with Charles Johnson. Whenever he gets involved in anything, he just confuses the whole topic. I think Charles Johnson, like if Charles Johnson is working for the government, which I tend to think, no, it's all in his fucking head. He's a fantasist. And he's like he probably goes to the FBI and like, can I help you please? And they're like, fuck me, Chuck, we're sick of you. Fuck off, dude. Get out of here. You know, come to us when you have some actual like intelligence, please.
Some actual crimes.
Yeah.
That's just it. He's working as a federal asset to entrap people and claim them being scum and foreign assets. And he said that in the second tweet where he says, yes, the whole purpose.
But the problem is that he might just he likely is not working for them. He is just desperate to work for them. He's like he's going like with all this information all the time and they're going, fucking hell, Chuck, not again. Not you again, bro. Oh my God. Because if he's just so enragingly confusing. I mean,
he probably does that intentionally to make it not so clear. If we want to play those videos, that's Ollie talking about January 6th and the build up to that.
All right, so someone said, do you think Antifa's going to be there? Look, the March for Trump people have...
So this is pre-January 6th, is it?
Yep. Pre-January 6th. I think this is in December 29th.
I've gotten people beat up, in my opinion. We have kept people safe, in my opinion. That's why we have the text message alert. Text Jan 6 to 86184. So if Antifa is at a block...
Donuts or no, not yet.
Huh?
Your donuts
No, ma'am.
Okay, which two did you have?
Bavarian cream and Boston cream. And, so what I want to let everybody know is if you type in Jan 6 to 86184, 1, God's protecting us. 2, we can let you guys know where Antifa is. 3, I'm going to let the Proud Boys know where Antifa is. Okay? So you guys all know.
So is your position that he was part of setting people up? Or was he a useful idiot?
No, he was part of setting people up right from the start. And here's Ollie talking about how they're using the Proud Boys for security purposes. And they're the defense squad, the defense team, to fight back Antifa in the street.
So your position is that Ali Alexander, I was suspicious of him forever, that all the way along, he was working for the government. He knew that it was going to go down on January the 6th, and he was part of being like a Pied Piper to lure basically young patriots like who follow Nick Fuentes and that.
And Q boomers.
And Q boomers to their entrapment. That's your position, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's finish this clip.
I have done a great job with security. Thank you. So that's the first thing on security. The second thing is we're working with everybody.
Oh, look at that profile. Oh my god, dude.
Really poking out there.
Thank you. Awesome. You too.
The question I have is, if this is the case, why would they use such an egregious figure like Ali Alexander to have done it? I mean, he's the least likely person for people to have followed. Isn't he?
I mean, he's, I guess, a smart talker. He really attracted the minds of the insane Q boomer community and just wanted them to follow him in the COVID scare and all these things. Which is why, I mean, there could be some argument for Alex Jones doing the same thing there, but Ollie saying he organized this whole thing, he definitely knew about it. He definitely knew about the purpose of these whole things being set up. And he's actually going to talk about it a bit.
What, in the next clip?
Yeah, I just finished this one off. I have no idea what he said.
But don't worry, I'm Merry Christmas.
Oh no,
I'm gonna make sure so many people are so safe, it's gonna make your head spin.
So safe.
I'm gonna try to make sure that every 15 minutes, so that you just know in your head, you don't have to know on a map, that metro stops are being patrolled. I'm gonna try to go that deep into it. I'm gonna talk to the Proud Boys, I'm gonna talk to the Oath Keepers, and I'm gonna try to get patrols going, okay? Of men that go for hours. And boom, bada bing, bada boom. Now that I have, I mean, like I said, I'm working with everybody, but for the first time, I'm the only, I'm not saying the only decider, but I'm the, I get to make decisions in isolation for the first time. And
see, right
that feels good.
Right there. He's talking about, we're working with everybody. We're working with the Proud Boys. We're working with the Oath Keepers. But this time, I'm in charge. This time, I'm directing how things go. And how do you think he directed things to go? Do you think he directed them to be a peaceful protest from the start? Or did he direct things to cause a little bit of mischief and chaos and make a big fuss about it?
So what I've just realised is I don't know where he was on the day. I know Nick Fuentes was stood where that fountain was. Yell in the mic. Where was he? Do we know?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think he was on premise. I'm pretty sure he was outside of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I didn't see any pictures or videos of him shouting and screaming at the Capitol Hill. Why wouldn't he? He organized this whole thing. He's like the big dog here.
Wait.
He should have been storming the Capitol right in the front.
And there's been no charges against him for January 6th, right?
There hasn't been any. Much less than Nick, too. So it's almost like Ollie has direct connection.
Yeah, I mean, be under no illusion. I remember he was effectively organising it, and Nick Fuentes, or this is how it seemed, got himself inserted with him and Alex Jones.
Yep.
He was the ringleader of Stop the Steal, absolutely, wasn't he? This guy.
Yep.
That feels good. So I can keep everybody a lot safer, because every time I've done security, it's worked out great. Every time someone else has done security, it's turned out horrible.
Famous.
Are bikers for Trump coming? I would assume they're coming.
Yeah.
We have other people on the coalition's team that talk to everyone else. I'm dealing with other people.
Oh, hold up there. You hear that? We have other people on the coalition team who are interacting with these different parties, bikers from Trump, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers. I'm just like the top organizer who's also working with who? Someone else? Not the main party group leaders, but it's Ollie working with some mysterious figure out there that he won't name, delegating his commands to other people between him and the groups that are going.
Okay.
I'm raising money, getting staging, getting sounding. Dealing with members of Congress is my most important job every day. Dealing with members of Congress, threatening them, stuff like that. That's my most important job.
I'm pretty sure that's a crime. I'm pretty sure that's a crime to threaten members of Congress.
So couldn't the devil's advocate argument be this is just self-grandiosity and he's just making it up? He's a bit like Chuck Johnson here. He's just like, making his own importance look bigger to an audience.
But that's just the thing. If we go to the top thread, the top post in the thread, and we go to that first screenshot with the green highlighter, that's from the first link from Business Insider that also identified Chuck Johnson as being a federal informant. And in that screenshot, it says the top one right there, yeah. Right? That one. The whistleblower recounts how one of his sources, codenamed Genius, as we know as being Chuck Johnson, won the trust of racist extremists who the Bureau investigated for their role in January 6 violence. Genius was able to do so because he had credibility on the far-right political fringe, just like Chuck Johnson, who's been doing this since 2014. Nevertheless, the whistleblower claims the FBI ordered him that his source be closed. So right there, it's talking about how Johnson, the federal informant, had some sort of role and connection interacting with these different thought leaders and collectives that went to January 6th that got in trouble for rioting and causing a disturbance. And who was that? That was Chuck Johnson. So Chuck Johnson was the guy that Ollie was talking about, who's wrangling in all of these collectives and their leaders to do his bidding.
Yeah. It's definitely very suspicious, all this, isn't it? It's definitely incredibly suspicious.
I think it's a smoking gun.
You think it's a smoking gun.
Yeah.
And other people do. That guy there, he's done that video, also does. Fucking hell.
Yeah. So that's ultimately my conclusion on Fuentes. Now, was Fuentes a Fed when he went there? I don't know. Maybe he got suckered into it in some ways, in some form, because he befriended Chuck Johnson after that. It's hard to say, but it's clear that Ollie and Chuck are good friends. And they've been for a while, saying Ollie went directly to Chuck to ask him for legal advice. You have to be pretty close to someone to ask for legal advice.
Yeah. I don't know why anybody who has any mild awareness of this movement or seen whatsoever, just like me, for instance, I would never ask Chuck Johnson for anything, because anybody who's been around and knows anything, the slightest thing, knows that he is he's a pathological liar, full of self-grandiosity. Yes, he knows lots of connections. Like Luke Ford once mentioned that I think Chuck Johnson introduced Matt Gaetz to his wife. So there's no doubt that he has important connections. There's no doubt that he's been around the movement. He's like a pathological self-inserter into things. But he's the last person that you would want legal advice from, surely.
I mean, it just comes down to, why does he have all these connections? It's not like he was big money. It's not like he was old English stock of some kind and has ancient history going back into the US of some kind. No, he's just some guy that just appeared one day and started talking to Peter Thiel of all people and recruited him to be a federal informant. So it's just a little bit, you're like, come on, this isn't someone anyone should associate with. And yet there's a lot of people that still talk to Chuck Johnson, associate with him, when he's clearly a bad actor. But through their mind, maybe he's a white hat of some kind. And I'm not buying his many different lies, saying he's doing it all for the good to save America. I think he's doing what's ever good for himself.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how Chuck Johnson's going to bounce back from his ridiculous predictions on the US election this year. I mean, those were incredibly bad. And he always draped them in having secret knowledge again, secret insider information. I know, because I'm talking to, the bigwigs of the Republican Party, and I know this and I know that, and my FBI handlers told me this. And his prediction was that that fat guy was going to win. What's he called? Who was the Republican candidates? Who's the fat guy?
Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Something. Chris Christie.
Yeah. Yes.
He
That was
predicted
Chuck
Chris would
Johnson.
win.
Yes. 100%.
Of course, he'd advocate for the New Yorker.
And it's not just like a prediction, like I said. It's like he knew how it was going to go down, and that it was like some secret plot within the government, and it's all planned out, and it's good guys versus bad guys. Deep state versus secret liquid machinations, and the good guys are on it. Don't you worry, we're going to win the war at the end of the day. And none of it played out whatsoever.
Yeah, and it especially didn't work out for Nick Fuentes, who might be going to jail or having to do a lot of community service for attacking some little poor Holocaust survivor.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's another story in itself. Look, I've got another stream coming up in a mo. What is the state of Nick Fuentes then, right now, in a few words? Where are we at with Nick? Yeah.
I think he'll be convicted and he will be punished very lightly. And that's about it, unfortunately. I did find his lawyer rather ironic that he managed to hire.
Do you blame him for this? Do you think he might have reacted the same way? I mean, if somebody was harassing him, I'm not sure if. I mean, this isn't the worst thing that Nick's done, is it? At the end of the day, I suppose.
No. I mean, I do think he was an idiot for how he approached it. I mean, he should have just gone out there and mocked her, made fun of her, made a big scene out of it. I mean, he does that all the time online. I don't see why he can't do that in person. So he should have just started making fun of her and mocking her and being like, "You don't have my delivery. You don't have my the food that people order online, the pick up and go food."
Yeah.
So he could have just accused her of that and been like, "Go get my meal" or something, and just heckled her. He didn't have to attack her. It would have been that easy.
Yeah, it was definitely a distinct lapse of judgment. Absolutely. I'm putting the link in the chat for people keep asking, what was that channel where that video was on about Nick Fuentes? It's this channel, XLP. Links in the chat there, right there. There it is. So, okay, you've got that. So, Kingsville, yeah, I've got another stream I've got to do after this. So, I didn't realise we were running on so long. So, I want to thank you.
Late night for you.
Oh my God, I know. These are the pains of SJJMAS, but we do it to save the white race. So, that's what we're doing. Kingsville, thank you for coming on. We'll chat again at some point in the new year, I guess, and figure out what all this shit's actually about. All right.
Cool. Yeah, you have a good one.
You too. All right, that's been it, everybody. I've got another stream coming up, probably straight after this one. All right. Thank you for being here, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.